What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Mike, and with me is my co-captain, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
Dude, we have a pretty packed show today. Not packed as in a million different news items, but the ones that we are covering are pretty big and game-changing for the industry. But also we've got reviews for the Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny's 24-karat Christmas extravaganza, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, Children of the Sea, and Ride Your Wave. But first, where do you want to start with the news?
Well, let's start with some Adult Swim news, because Adult Swim has greenlit a new show called Teenage Euthanasia from Elisa Nutting and Allison Levy. It's a dystopian coming-of-all-age comedy series about death, family, and accidental resurrection, coming in 2021. And let's see. With Teenage Euthanasia, Alyssa and Allison have created both a world and a family that everyone can relate to, laugh at, and ultimately feel relieved that they aren't a part of, said Michael Uwelline from who's the president of Adult Swim. Set in a mildly apocalyptic near future, Teenage Euthanasia centers around the fantasy family and their inland Florida funeral home. Tender endings. I like that. The cast of characters includes recently undead Trophy Fantasy, voiced by Maria Bamford, her teenage daughter, Euthanasia, Annie, Fantasy Joe Firestone. Jeez. Annie's Edifice complex-stricken Uncle Pete, voiced by Tim Robinson, and Annie's old country immigrant grandmother, Baba, voiced by Bebe Neuwirth. As a teen mom, Trophy ran away from home, leaving Annie behind to be raised by her Baba and Uncle Pete. 15 years later, Trophy finally returns to tender endings as a corpse for burial. But when a bolt of lightning strikes Baba's homemade embalming fluid, and one of Annie's tears magically bring Trophy back from the dead, Trophy finds herself a resurrected woman with a second chance at an unplanned parenthood and a variety of quasi-useful death powers. Well, so let's see. Allison Levy is the co-creator with John Lee and Vernon Chapman of Xavier, Renegade Angel, and The Heart She Holler. And Elisa Nutting is a screenwriter, novelist, and essayist. She is the co-creator of the upcoming HBO Max show Made for Love, which is based off of her critically acclaimed book of the same name. Well, knowing that it's by one of the people is behind Xavier, Renegade Angel, that makes a lot of sense with the setting. I don't know if you remember that show or not.
I vaguely remember it, but yeah, I love how just this feels kind of like mundanely insane.
Yeah. No, and this is a good push for Adult Swim because they've been criticized before, and I think it was kind of an open secret that they really did not accept a lot of projects from female creators and such, so that's super crummy. So them greenlighting this is very good on their side of things. Now, if the show will be good, we'll have to see. I see the image here on Animation Magazine, and I mean, it's one of those art styles that I want to see in motion before anything else, because I know we're not going to get that Xavier Renegade Angel look, which looks like someone animated everything in the Sims engine. So
yeah, no, I need to see this in motion, but otherwise I could see like a 22 episode season, or maybe more like a 10 episode season, because Rick and Morty is only 10 episodes, and that seems to be like the norm for Adult Swim.
So next, the producer Luke Carrolls, who worked on Netflix's hit The Willoughbys, has joined Relish Interactive in the newly created role of SVP Animation. So he'll be in charge of making content and original films for the company, including their first feature film that's in pre-production, Shadow Rail Circus, taking place within the popular Weirdwood universe, which is now includes an award-winning app and novel series with a TV show in development.
Ooh.
Shadow Rail Circus tells the story of young Letty Donahue, who unknowingly unlocks her dormant magical abilities and is thrust into service with a troupe of fantastical circus performers who are pursued by a sorceress, pirate queen. It's set to release in 2022, and looks like they'll be using the Unreal Engine to help animate a few things. We'll have to see how that goes. But if it's anything like the Willoughbys, if they choose like a fun art style that like mimics stop motion, I'm down. I trust this guy, but we'll have to see.
I think I'm starting to think that is my favorite style of CG animation when it mimics other like other styles. Like it's kind of like when more modern holiday specials kind of like mimic the aesthetic of the Rankin Bass specials, but it's all in CG. Or
Yeah,
like how the
yeah.
Lego movie, I like until I saw it was like produced by Animal Logic, I could have sworn they were using actual Legos.
Yeah, no, we're at a really great time period for CGI animation because we can do things that we couldn't do like decades ago. Like if you like think about like back then, if you were working on Toy Story and being like, man, this is the most advanced technology around, and then like being frozen in time and then being thawed out to this time period and seeing films like Spider-Verse, the Willoughbys, connected when when are we going to get that, Sony?
Yes, Sony.
Yeah. Stop teasing us. But anyway, so and then like seeing what the overseas companies are doing with CGI animation and like or like the combination of 2D and CGI, like what we'll talk about with Children of the Sea. And no, I can't wait. I'm excited for this. So next for the next topic, Bill Plimpton, the famous cult fan favorite animator, has put up a crowdfunding for a new feature-length project called Slide, inspired by his Oregon upbringing and love of country music. Plimpton hopes that that with a successful Kickstarter campaign, with the minimum goal is set at $77,800 with a $200,000 stretch goal, could help him and his team bring the movie to fans as soon as 2021. So I don't know how many newer animation fans will know about Bill Plimpton, but if you've seen stuff like there was a Christmas special that played around Cartoon Network a lot years ago. That was about an old, like a dark comedy take on like an old grandma reading Christmas stories to her grandkids. And he has a twisted sense of humor, but he's also has a super distinct style. If you've seen something like The Prophet, which is distributed by G Kids, he animated a sequence for that film, and it's a super cool pencil sketch design style. And he's also done a few Simpsons couch gag sequences as well. Just type in Bill Plimpton and on YouTube, and you'll find a bunch of stuff.
Wait a minute. He did a thing for Chalk Zone called That Thing You Drew.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I see he's done a couple music videos as well.
Yeah, no, his art style is super distinct, and you can see why he's stayed around for so long. But yeah, this sounds cool. I like the ideas.
Yeah, Bill Plimpton is one of those guys who you may not know his name, but you know at least one thing that he's done. So
Yeah.
there's no reason not to get excited over this project, even if you're not the biggest country music fan.
Yeah, no, Bill Plimpton has a on his video, I mean on the Kickstarter page has a video and it has some small bits of animation that's like all work in progress and whatnot. It's really cool. It looked really cool. And I hope he gets it funded. It's only got 11 days as we record this and it's unfortunately only at 17,996. But we'll make sure to link it just in case. So,
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, we'll have to see. So, I think let's talk about some trailer talk first.
Yes.
Because we have two new trailers to talk about before we get to the HBO Max discussion, which is super emotional and has been a heated debate. But first, let's talk about we finally got a trailer for Goro Miyazaki's newest film and Studio Ghibli's first CGI film, Earwig and the Witch, which, you know, will be brought over by G Kids for 2021. And from what I can tell, I think it's going to be submitted to the 2020 Oscars alongside Wolf Walkers and Ride Your Wave and On Gaku Our Sound.
Great. So that made this year that much more competitive.
Yeah, no, on one hand, I wish they would put like Earwig and a Witch for next year, but I understand you want to fill out as many spots as possible.
Well, how many films end up on the short list every year? Like 30?
Yeah, about 30, and G Kids usually has about 5 or 6 spots taken every year. Like even though Children of the Sea came out this year in the US, it officially was shown off last year in 2019 and they submitted it to the Oscars for last year, which
I see.
yeah. And I think they'll also be putting out Lupin the Third to first in the Oscar submission category. We'll see. We'll have to see how that goes. But of course, they're betting on Wolf Walkers making it because they're teamed up with Apple Plus. Yeah. So it's like we said, it's Studio Ghibli's first CGI film, and I like the look of it. It looks like a stop motion film, or like CGI mimicking stop motion to a certain degree. It's not quite Aardman level stop motion, where it's like they want you to like be okay with it looking like it does. And I don't mean that in like a negative way. I mean it's like you can see like the thumbprints or fingerprints on or like on the characters in Early Man and whatnot. And then but it's more like Leica, where it's like it's a little smoother and what have you. And unfortunately there were no subtitles, so not much to take from the story and the dialogue quality. But what do you think?
I didn't really get a grasp on the story, but you know me, I'm kind of an easy lay when it comes to movies about music. And as soon as I saw like the band playing, I just instantly thought to myself, "Yep, I'm gonna like this." For somehow I know I'm just gonna love it.
Right.
The thing about the animation is, it looks fine, for Western standards. It looks not great, but I'm gonna give Studio Ghibli and Goro especially the benefit of the doubt because this is their first attempt at a CG animated film, and as I'm sure you'll be exploring later, while the US, took one giant leap forward in '95 with Toy Story, the rest of the world took a little bit longer to catch up. I think Brazil was the first one out the gate to immediately follow Toy Story, but yeah.
But the problem with trying to research all of this is that it's very hard to find information about it. I'm going to contact someone to see if they have anything to say about it who apparently who wrote a book about the history of CGI animation, and I just really want to know about the feature stuff. I know every country has had like they dipped their feet into making CGI shorts and whatnot. There's definitely like, though I can understand that there is kind of a quality difference. And when Lionsgate loves to bring over so many of those small uh cheaply made or cheaply budgeted animated films direct to video, and they get like YouTubers and maybe like a D-list celebrity like Drake Bell
Hmm.
in these kind of for these films, um it doesn't make the other countries look good, and especially when you dip into like the Chinese CGI animated scene, it really doesn't look good.
It almost kind
But
of makes us feel like bullies for criticizing these movies because, like, I mean, objectively they end up being terrible, um, but like I just said, we're comparing them against like our own domestic studios.
well, see, that's the problem. It's because if your only point of comparison in context is 2010, um like Pixar and Disney, that's a terrible point of reference, because we like for a while we were still trying to figure out how it all works. And it took us until like maybe 2007 and definitely some different art styles to help make humans look good. But we were still getting that down, and I would argue like we didn't get that down until 2007 with Ratatouille.
Oh,
And
I was gonna ask, like, wait, what year did that come out? Because that's by that point, I think we have we got it down pat by that point.
yeah, because if you look at like Incredibles, like the first film, it's really starting to show its age, and there are definitely some scenes that do not look finished, and
Yeah,
or they needed like a different run through, or like maybe a little touch up here and there. Like mostly what I'm talking about is the scene where uh Mr. Incredible is talking to Elastigirl, and she's watching the baby, and it looks really bad for that one little sequence. Like if you're not paying attention, you won't notice. But and then there's like little things that we had to work around, like in 1995 with Toy Story. You won't notice unless someone points it out to you. All the kids that Andy has over are just different models of him.
I think I did notice that the last time I watched it.
I mean, that's why for a while we didn't get a lot of humans in our animated films.
Also,
And
did you notice how often Andy's mom like didn't show her face?
yeah, exactly. With like we were they were probably just being like, okay, can we make this look good? Can we work around it and what have you? And then it's like there are films like 2005's Robots from Blue Sky, which I think got around that problem. And while some of the movements could be a little cleaner or smoother, um everything looks shiny, and that's intentional. like it's like I don't know. Like even like in 2009 with Monsters versus Aliens, I think that was the wrong art style to use for that movie, because you can tell that half the humans don't look great. And if Monsters versus Aliens came out now, the art style would probably look better now, because you could tell they were trying to go for like a caricature style, but that caricature like 2D style didn't always translate well to CGI and whatnot. So it's like it's hard, because you kind of have to grade on a different level with overseas stuff. Even with like something like Monkey King Hero is Back, it doesn't look all great, but you watch that opening sequence and it's like, oh my gosh, why aren't we doing that? Because it took us a while to start like experimenting with CGI, because we were at that point where we could do stuff like the Peanuts movie, Connected, Spider Verse, and
On a shorter, on a shorter scale, Paperman.
yeah, Paperman. Like, it's taken us a little bit to start experimenting as well. So it's just different, and also time, money, like technology. Sometimes some of those films don't have all of those, or they don't have all of them working and like working together. So it's tough. Yeah, no, I'll give it a chance. I'm wondering how it's going to look in motion, but if China can put out stuff like Neza, White Snake, and Neza Reborn, I think the overseas market and with films like The Painting, Another Day of Life, and what have you, like we're in a great spot right now where we can all experiment. Like everyone can experiment.
My
So
hope is that um, by like 2025, every single animation house around the world is able to put out films at least as good as Ratatouille. I think that's a fair standard.
I think that's a fair standard as well, because it's like, well, it doesn't look as good as Disney and Pixar. Well, yeah, you would look amazing too if you had $100 million to shove into one project.
Exactly.
And like, if you look at Crude's a New Age, that thing had its budget slashed in half, and it still looks great.
I'm looking up
Um,
the budget right now for Earwig and the Witch, and I don't see it, but I'm just gonna guess it's uh, like adjusting for our currency, 50 million, maybe 75.
it might be a little shorter than that. I'm not entirely sure, because sometimes these films had to get crowdfunded, like through different investment companies and whatnot. So it's kind of like what you could make of it. Now there are definitely some situations like Return of Oz, or no, Legend of Oz, Dorothy's Return, where it's like, wow, that thing cost $75 million. I don't see it.
Yeah, where's the money?
Yeah, it's like we see this all the time. Like we talked about the other podcast or so. Where's the money in films like Wonder Park or Arctic Dogs? So it's like money doesn't equal quality, and that should be obvious. It's common sense, but animation fans don't always have the best context for their criticisms and observations. That's why I'm trying so hard to like look up everything about what it's like overseas and whatnot, or like learning with what we talked about with Tony Bancroft and Scott Salva about Animal Crackers, because that film looks good for 17 million.
Oh yeah. Now speaking of animation fans and baseless criticisms, let's talk about the Boss Baby 2 trailer, shall we?
Yeah, so Boss Baby Family Business dropped a trailer recently, probably with the release of the Crudes 2 film being directed by, and this film is being directed by Tom McGrath, and will be about how Tim, who is now in the middle age, who's now voiced by James Marsden, who is still not really getting along with his younger brother Ted, who was voiced by Alec Baldwin, and well, they get into a fight, and then they find out that Tim's new baby is a talking baby from Baby Core. Or if I think that's what the company was called from the last
Yeah,
film, if I
Baby
remember,
Core.
and who is voiced by Amy Sedaris, and she brings Tim and Ted back with her to help take down uh, a doctor named Dr. Irwin Armstrong, who apparently wants to make a rebellion with babies. And of course, Ted and Tim get turned back into their baby and kid selves in the process, and shenanigans ensue. Do you want to start with the baseless criticisms that you referenced?
Um, well, besides everyone being wrong about the Boss Baby, which I think is an incredible film,
I think it's just okay, but it's pretty enjoyable. I still like it.
a lot of people have this impression that when a studio puts out like a sequel or something that quote unquote nobody asked for, they think they do this like deliberately instead of a project that got canceled when the canceled project fell through for various reasons. And
Yeah.
given DreamWorks' history, they have a pretty deep graveyard.
Yeah, it's I mean, I get it. I get where the anger comes from to a purely like surface level emotional degree, because it is like, man, you guys aren't doing that mix of 2D and CGI thing with like My Shadow, but you're doing another Boss Baby or another Crudes or Trolls.
Which, if you were
Eh,
paying attention to Boss Baby, they had opportunities where they did mix 2D and 3D animation, mostly in the dream sequences, which I think are the best moments of the film. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about both films when the next one comes out. Um, but yeah, and then it's also like, oh, they probably hate working on this because it's not the newest artistic experience.
Hell
And
no, this looks like a lot of fun.
yeah, no, it does. And you can look I'm looking at the animation again right now with the trailer, and they're taking a lot of the rules of animation and just abusing the heck out of them, like in a good way. Like when Tim and Ted take the formula to turn back into kids and a kid and a baby. There's a lot of squash and stretch and wild expressions as the uh, potion thing is activating, and it's just like, this looks like a fun movie to work on, especially if you get to work on something like with like very comedic expressions and animation, kind of like if you're working on a CGI Looney Tunes.
Pretty
and,
much.
and you know, films that we all ended up liking turned out to have like terrible work productions, like The Road to El Dorado, which which if you read up about, people, they were not having a good time working on that movie. So it's like, you don't assume that the animators are having a bad time because it's a film that you're not looking forward to.
Oh yeah, and um, one more thing. I think people have like the the memory of a goldfish because we have this conversation every time when it comes to DreamWorks animation. Their sequels, or at least their direct sequels, are usually superior to the original. Like the gold standard is still, I think, Shrek 2, which is just an incredible comedy film in its own right, but
Right.
compared to the original, it takes all the jokes that worked and like brings them up to 11.
Yeah, and then, Kung Fu Panda was a great movie. Kung Fu Panda 2 was an incredible movie. And then Kung Fu Panda 3 was sorry, my voice keeps cracking. Was also incredible. And same with the How to Train Your Dragons films. I get it. I get people are kind of tired of US animation always being comedy centric, but I also understand when you're putting down so much money on these films that you want to make sure you grab as wide of an audience as possible. And just because you're catering to a wider audience doesn't mean that they're selling out or something like that. Like, I remember when people saw Missing Link from Leica, and they were like, "Oh, well, this isn't as dark and scary as their previous films, so that means they're selling out." And it's just like, I hate that phrase so much because it doesn't mean, or it shouldn't mean that it, like, sometimes maybe a director wants to work on a more approachable film. If here's a hot take, if every film was like the original and Fantasia, they would keep bombing in theaters.
Oh yeah, and
You can't
that's you know
and like yeah,
art,
we like
artistically,
yeah.
I think we might see the quote unquote greatest films of all time, but financially, you're not like you're gonna make butt at the box office, and
Yeah.
studios need to make twice butt.
Yeah. And it's also like everyone's like, man, I want the art to take over. I don't want the corporate shenanigans to get involved. Making a film and animation and art is a collaborative effort. And it's just like, I don't know how to talk to these dense knuckleheads because like we just said, you can't just make something super artsy fartsy or else it's not going to grab an audience. Like I love G Kids, but sometimes the films they bring over are not super approachable, especially if you watch something like This Magnificent Cake, which is only 45 minutes, but it's a super specific, super niche, and super dark story. And like I said, yeah, I want more action. I want more maybe slice of life stuff that like what Japan is doing or what Europe is doing.
And if you are a
Or
DreamWorks fan, then you get that in television, like Netflix, and to a lesser extent, Peacock, like is carving out that niche for themselves.
Mhm. So it's like take a chill pill, sit back down and take a look at the bigger picture and maybe just admit that you don't know what you're talking about sometimes. Like I love companies like A24 and Neon, but I watch some of their films and I'm just kind of like, man, no. Like I'm glad you made it. I'm glad it's out there, but sometimes, you know, it's not always the greatest thing to go art forward. Like, but I don't know. Anyway, I think this looks fun. The Boss Baby back family business looks great. I hope I enjoy it. We'll just have to see when it comes out in March.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this.
All right,
Something.
so
Uh,
there's now there's nothing else to talk about. Nothing at all. Nothing else happened this week. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Certainly not the end of a beloved reboot.
No. Well, actually, I was referencing something else, but thanks for reminding me.
Yeah,
Um.
I need to get this one off my chest.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Do you want to talk about? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
okay, so the cat's out of the bag. DuckTales is ending after its third season, but I need to make this crystal fucking clear to sites like comicbook.com or all those other like mom and pop clickbait sites. The show wasn't canceled. It's it it's it's kind of Disney's uh, corporate mandate that all their animated series or just all their shows in general, they like them to generally stay within like 65 episodes. So DuckTales will end around, I guess, 75, but through like three seasons for a show that was this well received, that took the original 1987 series plus like decades of comics from like not just the American comics by Carl Barks and Don Rosa, but like comics from all over the world. Like they took all of that inspiration and made such an incredible new interpretation of Uncle Scrooge, the nephews, and Donald Duck on their globe-trotting adventures. We'll do probably a full series retrospective once the show concludes, but And I'm gonna miss this show when it ends.
I am too. And, sometimes a show ending in 3 seasons, especially ones that are more story focused, is not a bad thing. Like, of course, I get it. We want the show to keep going. We want to see these characters in more stuff. But it's tough when you don't want to go on too long. That's what happens with a lot of shows. And even though some of them are not story centric, a lot of people are tired of the Simpsons being around, or like Family Guy. Like, you could, like, the production people behind Family Guy have said, like, yeah, we're burned out, but the show still makes money. So, or it's like with the recent announcement that Superstore is going to end with season 6, and it's like 6 seasons is a pretty impressive way to go. And I think 3 seasons sounds pretty reasonable, especially with where the story was going with season 3 of DuckTales. And, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender only had 3 seasons, and it's considered one of the best cartoons and one of the best shows of all time.
Mm-hmm. Plus, what this means, and on Twitter, the showrunner Frank Angona is kind of described how the news is broke to the animation team. It was sad hearing that season 3 would be their last, but once they heard the news, they all started getting really excited about how to end the series, and that's why I'm excited to see like the last batch of episodes in 2021, because I want to see um, how they bring everything involving the Duck family and Fowl, all of that. I want to see how that all comes to a head.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand, like, the old shows went on for like 4 or 5 seasons or so, but there's already a lot of times where shows that get long in the tooth start adding stuff into the formula and it just doesn't work out, or it looks desperate. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with DuckTales ending with 3 seasons. I mean, it's tough because, like, yes, I would have loved to have seen more of Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts, but 30 episodes over 3 seasons, that's not a bad run.
and
That's
they and
more
they
than
pay yeah and they paced that show perfectly. Not just because for whatever reason it was 3 seasons all in a single year, so it
yeah,
felt like we were just getting a really long movie in
yeah,
3 chunks.
yeah, and then like She-Ra, a lot of people love that show. Only went on for 5 seasons, and everybody loves that show. Like, and yeah, like with like Gravity Falls, I kind of wish it had a third season just to pace it out a little better, but I'm fine with its 2 seasons. I'd rather it go like that than like a lot of some of the Netflix shows that are finally starting to end. Even though I like some of them not so much, but like like some of these shows have had more episodes than like Clerks, the animated series, which only had like 6, or like Mission Hill only had, I think, like 8 episodes made.
Or Clone High, which ended for you know
Really dumb reasons.
yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm okay with uh I'm fine with this. I'm going to accept it. And plus, they're going to work on, some of them may be working on like DuckTales or The Ghost and Molly McGee. And we'll just see what happens. TV's in a weird spot right now as well because, you know, um, streaming's becoming bigger. COVID has basically ruined a lot of live action stuff. Um, and yeah, so it's a weird transition period of like, we need to keep moving, and some of the old ways of making content are not working out anymore. And apparently, from what I've heard, and this is just water cooler talk, viewership was not great during the third season of DuckTales. And maybe it's because, you know, this is what happens when you break your seasons into bits, into pieces and chunks. But yeah, as much as like you would love for art to be art and to let the people make what they want,
It's not. It's also not cheap.
it's not cheap, especially if you have a bunch of celebrities voicing like half the characters. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm ready for it to be over.
One more thing I just want to expound upon. Um, seasons 1 and 3 of DuckTales were broadcast on Disney XD, which is um, a cable network, but not basic cable. So it's one of those premium network channels.
Yeah.
So um, well, I understand that the creators wanted the third season to be on Disney XD um, for either sentimental reasons, or they just felt more comfortable on a network that, you know, actually kind of respected the series. Um, the reason it had such a low low ratings is because, you know, people are cord cutters now.
Yeah, and while it is annoying of how many of the companies like Netflix will not tell us how the viewership works, it's like I don't know. But yeah, we'll have to see. I think. I mean, I have to say what I've said. So, nothing else happened, right? Nothing.
Nope,
Nope.
absolutely nothing.
No, nothing. Nothing. Nothing like HBO Max and WB making a deal to have same day streaming and theatrical releases. Oh wait, yeah, that's what's happening. So, well, this isn't really what we would normally talk about since Space Jam and Tom and Jerry are on this list, we're going to have to talk about this. So, of course, everyone knows that WB and HBO Max have made a deal to have same day theatrical and streaming releases for their entire 2021 slate of films being released. Of course, this has brought on a lot of the doom and gloom of like it's the death of the theater system and the theater industry, because why would people want to go to a theater if they can watch it at home? And of course, you know, just the studios are now also trying to, you know, try to be more like, hey, can you Regal be our like one-stop shop of premiere things so we can show like the new Marvel movie in like 20 screens while everything else gets like 1 or 2 screens. But a lot of mixed emotions and a lot of course intense emotional thoughts going around, and I'm somewhere in the middle, but Mike, you start.
Let me open with this. Warner Brothers, basically what they did here is this is a power move. This is Warner Media, like basically dropping the mic and saying, yeah, so we have our 2021 slate locked, and we're keeping all the money. Well, not all the money, because they will still show it in theaters, but it's for a studio like Warner Brothers to have their slate locked. That's one thing this announcement tells me,
Mm-hmm.
that they're ready to go whenever. But also, like, because of the state of the world right now, you know, we're still technically in a pandemic. I don't think they would do this if they didn't have to.
I'll say this, they're the only studio smart enough to read the room. So, like, I know everyone's like, they can delay it, they can afford to. Yeah, but
You can only delay things for so long.
Yeah, how much longer can we objectively, realistically delay everything until until everything's good? But since people don't like to wear masks, and it's going to take a little bit for everyone to get the vaccine and for everything to go back to normal, it's not safe to go to a theater. And now I know some theaters are doing as big, like the safety precautions, like as much as possible. That's not going to be enough. And like the studios can't just delay it. So, and I'll say this, and this, a few of my friends in the Facebook group brought this up. The theater's going experience kind of sucks and is outdated. Like, I love going to the movie theaters. When this is all over, I am going to a movie theater as much as possible.
Same.
But I would be lying if I said I didn't have any issues with it. It's like, it's not fully accessible. It's expensive. And you have to deal with sound issues sometimes. Like, I saw Makia When the Promised Flowers Bloom, which is a fantastic movie. But the projectionist accidentally had it so where half the subtitles were cut off. And or it's like I went to see The Neverending Man, Hayao Miyazaki, and they didn't turn off the overall theater lights.
Oh, that gets really annoying.
And so my sister and I sat there watching the great documentary, and just like every light was on. So it's just like, is this because there weren't that many people in there, or just was someone asleep there? And then of course it's expensive to get concessions, and of course there's the whole argument about like the dynamic between theaters and studios, where studios want to have more of the money, and the theaters need to make up for that, and the food and snacks are getting stupidly expensive. I don't want to buy a $6 water bottle. And then of course it's not fully accessible to people who have physical or health issues, or deal with stuff like anxiety. And I never really thought about it until I thought back to when I went to AMC, and good luck if you're in a wheelchair or have trouble walking.
Yeah, that's something I kind of noticed at my theater too. Like, it's not really the most handicap accessible. I mean, like I mean, they do the bare minimum. In like the front row, you have spaces where you can like put your wheelchair.
Yeah, but the front rows are not the greatest spots.
Oh yeah, I agree. I almost never sit in the front row.
Like, I only had to once because the whole theater was packed to see at Fantastic Fest for Jojo Rabbit. This was like 2 weeks or so before it got released. And I had to look up, and it wasn't super comfortable at all. But I still love the movie. And just to get the blaring sound and visuals up that like that close, like, take out those super close like seats and put like ramps and stuff. Like, don't put steps there. Like, have the sidebars and whatnot, but take out the steps. And even though I love my Alamo Drafthouse, it's really not accessible at all. And then, like I said, and I know everyone's like, well, every movie should get a chance in a theater.
In theory, yes.
In theory, yes, but since that's not the case, no. I'm sorry, you can't convince me that what was that Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu film from last year that everyone wanted to be nominated? Hustlers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me Hustlers and Jexy deserve to both be in the theater. Hustlers, yes, absolutely. Jexy,
No.
no. Like, you can't be that ignorant or stubborn about, like, I'm sorry, some films don't work in a theater or are not elevated by a theatrical viewing. Some of them, yes. Comedies, musicals, sure. Uh Big action films, yes. But if I can still enjoy them and watch them on my TV, then I don't know. I feel like that argument falls kind of flat. Now, I do fully agree with people being worried about, like, will these big companies stay in like theater chains stay in business? Can they afford to? And I remember there was an interview recently with Steven Soderbergh saying, like, it, like, everybody needs to calm down. And I think that, like, and I agree with him, this time period of right now where I'm sure most studios are going to do the same theater on demand streaming same day release. Like, I think this would be a perfect time to negotiate, like, with the NATO, which, you know, the North American Theaters Organization, and to negotiate with studios, because I know studios are going to try to be like, well, we want all the money, but that's not going to happen because it's a symbiotic relationship. They need theaters just as much as theaters need them.
Now, apparently, that's not what Warner Brothers did, and AMC seems to be upset at them right now because it seems like they
pulled the rug out from under them.
Yeah, I'm
Now, yeah,
I'm a
I
little
understand that.
I'm a little disappointed to hear that because I thought that Warner Brothers and AMC had a better relationship because I remember back when Scoob was taken off the theatrical slate and put straight to VOD, that I thought that was something that they agreed on like months in advance. But I I don't I honestly don't know how to react to that other than I hope then what other studios do is
Actually talk.
Yeah, they have a better line of communication. And again, yelling at Sony again for still not having a release date for Connected. Sony and Paramount, I think, are the next studios that I think need to have these discussions. Sony especially because unless you want to count Crackle, they don't have a streaming service to really call their own. So
Yeah.
they got to get on someone's train fast.
And Paramount, man, I know we're so tired of bringing it up, but their whole reaction to with the whole Sponge on the Run situation is so stupid with how they've handled it, and it's already made back its money with all the deals it's made with Netflix and such, like where Sponge on a Run is viewable on like Canada's Netflix. Like, I don't know what they're doing, and I wouldn't be shocked if Netflix, in their infinite like amount of debt, decide to buy out Paramount. But we'll have to see about that because I know Viacom owns Paramount, so we'll have to see about that. I don't think Viacom's going to give up Paramount.
If anything, Viacom will just buy Netflix. Now, wouldn't that be something?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Or Netflix buys Viacom. I don't know.
Oh gosh, I don't think Netflix has the money for that. But then again, I don't know how they're continuously making money. So I like in the end, I'm going to be fine with this until everything is back down. And from what I hear, the same day release is not going to be like a permanent thing. And then like also like the films will stay on HBO Max for like a month. But it seems like details are kind of hazy all around.
What I'm gathering from this is what Warner Media is doing is kind of what Universal has already done, just in reverse. Because what Universal has now is their films have a like okay, take Freaky for example. That movie
Mm-hmm.
came out on Friday, November 13th, and 17 days later, it ended up on demand. So while Universal is doing theatrical first, then on demand, HBO Max is doing it in reverse, where it'll be on HBO Max for a month, and then it'll be exclusive to theaters for the rest of its run.
Yeah, and sorry, some people just don't like going to a theater or have like a hard time going when it's like super crowded and whatnot. So, giving people the option to watch these movies at home, like that's a good thing. And like some people I've seen around are just like, well, it's obviously better at like no, every movie's better on a theater screen. No, it's not. Norm of the North is not better on a theater screen.
If anything, it's worse.
Yes. Like it's like I get it, just but to stop sticking your nose in the air like you're being superior by saying stuff like that. And stop looking down on people who just are kind of tired of the theatrical experience at points because it can be awfully tiring. They don't, from what I can tell, nobody wants the theaters to die. Nobody wants that. They just want more accessibility, and it's kind of time for that to happen. And push come to shove, the pandemic is going to be that push.
And let's say um, let's say theaters do die, or they become more niche. Well, for those of you who are complaining about people who talk on their cell phones, or um, are just not following theater etiquette, well, what if when this is all over, the only people going to the movies are like actual cinephiles? That that should be like heaven to you. Like um like the best case scenario I can think of is when this is all over, going to the movies will become like something special again.
It will. Like I love seeing these movies and like the two movies we're talking about, but boy, I wish I could have seen them in a theater, but that wasn't going to happen. So like I things need to change for better or for worse. Hopefully more for the better. Things need to change. Theaters need to get in shape, and the studios need to find a better relationship dynamic with studios need to find a better relationship dynamic with theaters. Everything needs to elevate because the world is moving really fast right now. So in the end, I wouldn't be shocked if we hear like Disney and Sony and Universal doing the same thing very soon.
Same. I think um, by the time that this episode comes out, Disney will have already had their big like their big corporate meeting, or their
Yeah,
their
investors meeting.
shareholder. Yeah, and who knows what sort of game changer that they'll announce.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I'm curious to hear about this, but I don't want to hear anybody saying WB or Disney killed the theater experience because you know what? The pandemic did that first, and it did it harder and in a weird way better than any studio could. So, yeah, we'll just have to see. I hope everyone stays safe, and if you can go to a theater that's safe or like a drive-in, do it. If you want to see these movies on WB's uh release schedule in on the big screen, if you can do it safely, do it. But I'm going to enjoy these movies on my TV until everything's better. But that's our philosophical moral quandary bit out of the way.
Sticking with HBO Max, One of the two holiday specials that we'll be discussing is Bugs Bunny's 24 Karat Holiday Special.
So, yeah, how about you start us off with this one?
Um, earlier this year, we talked about the new Looney Tunes cartoons on HBO Max, and I really enjoyed those. Probably some of the best modern shorts featuring these classic characters. Um, I love everything from the 1940s and stuff, like inspired character designs, um, like the Daffy and Porky dynamic feels ripped right from like the Bob Clampett era. Um, and even though Elmer and Yosemite Sam have had their guns taken away, they haven't lost their sense of humor, and they're like the violence is still there. It's just more. It's just less less guns and more bombs and blades.
Yeah, and well, they haven't really lost their step in any way possible with trying to get at Bugs and Daffy and what have you. So, but yeah, I agree. Outside of the very stupid controversy that happened, or the not controversy that happened, I really enjoyed these shorts. I think they're just great, super funny. And even though a lot of them do rely on Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, the Daffy Duck, and Porky Pig dynamics, I'm glad that they're slowly reintroducing everyone.
Same.
Like with the Christmas special, we get Taz, who I think Fred Tatasciore voiced, if I remember correctly, looking at the credits. And I've been slowly realizing that Tweety Bird is really sadistic.
He's an asshole.
like
I, this this short in particular might be Tweety at his most diabolical.
oh god, it's like he's playing coy with the fact that he knows Sylvester's trying to eat him. And I just love I think that might be my favorite sequence out of the whole thing. Then maybe the next one being the road runner and Wile E. Coyote, and then the Daffy and Porky sequence. But I love the part in the Sylvester and Tweety sequence where Sylvester almost gets Tweety on top of a Christmas tree, fails, and his whole body slides down the tree. And then Tweety's just like, Granny, Granny, I want that one. And then she unfolds the tree like an umbrella, and you just hear a horrible snap to, to Sylvester. And that just looks like that hurt like heck, because it's like shoving an umbrella down your throat and then opening it up.
Ooh.
And then of course Tweety electrocutes him with the lights. And but I don't know. Like, what did you think about the overall special?
I think talking about this has made me appreciate it a little bit more than I guess when I first watched it, because I don't know, there's a little bit of distance between um, the first time I watched the new Looney Tunes cartoons and having since watched a lot more of the classics. So I'll be honest, it's kind of unfair on the one hand that I'm comparing this holiday special to,
Like decades of content.
yeah. But on the other hand, I don't think the Looney Tunes have ever had a home run when it comes to Christmas specials.
Not from what I remember either. It's really tough to do a super consistently funny take on Christmas specials. And it always seems like it turns out to be like a take on Christmas Carol. And I'm glad they didn't do any of that. I like that they just kept it short. I think maybe the Tasmanian Devils sequence is a little long, Like it kind of overstays its welcome a little.
It does a little, but
But I will say I did love seeing Taz like try to sing and then a police car would go by multiple times.
oh,
And then he
that
just,
that scene had me in stitches.
or like when he sings Jingle Bells, he says like, well, this is not a good bell. So he goes and rips off a bell from a church and does that. Or like when he realizes that like there's a bunch of carolers in front of a house, he presumably eats them. And then the person like locks the door intensely with like multiple locks, and then he opens up the little mail slot and he's like, Taz knows you're in there. And then, or like at the very end when he finally sings, it's in front of Granny, and she's like, "What? I can't hear you." But I think the slightly like at first I was like, I don't know if I want to see a super cynical take on the Christmas spirit and whatnot. But then it's like I don't know if I would want sentimental stuff from Looney Tunes either. So it's a weird mindset to be in. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
no,
I don't
I get
think,
that.
because I don't think of sentimental with Looney Tunes. I think of just witty comedy. And I think that's true with the very first one where Daffy and uh, Porky go to help Santa because his elves went on strike. First of all, I love the gag that where it's just like, when Santa brings back or like give like you don't know what kind of gifts they give Donald, not Donald, that's a different company, Daffy and Porky, but then it's like you realize he's been giving them consistently huge amounts of coal. Or then it's like when they go up there, you see, which you have to answer this for me since you've been watching some of the older stuff. Were they making a reference to the one of the little penguins at like during that sequence where the elevator goes up to the North Pole?
Yes, and I noticed that immediately when I watched that sequence.
Because I was wondering, it's like, no, that's way too specific of a design. It's not just like a throwaway background design.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a reference to, and I forget the penguin's name. I just know that is definitely that character.
I will say I did get a huge kick out of the fact that they got to the North Pole via an elevator somehow. I want to know where that elevator went. And then you find out that like the elves went on strike because Santa's not paying them again, like much. And then when it's like they get the elf costumes on and then they go to get to work, they're like, no, you're not making this old junk. Now we make high-tech video game consoles. And then they go to what looks like a sweatshop with very Russian communistic posters of like Santa's watching you. And I just thought like, I don't think I like this special as much as the shorts that we saw earlier this year, but I still got a huge laugh out of all of them. Still a lot of that great Looney Tunes spirit.
Oh, and for those of you who are kind of curious, like who actually did the animation, this was produced by Snipple Animation Studios. Yeah, for those who don't know, these Looney Tunes cartoons have been done by a couple different production houses,
Mm-hmm.
from Snipple to Urim to Yowza. It's it feels very reminiscent to the classic days of Looney Tunes when you had like each director have their own like unique style.
Yeah, they had their own distinct take on them. It's like you could tell, like with Tom and Jerry. I know they're not Looney Tunes, but hear me out. Every incarnation of Tom and Jerry had a different director behind them, and they always brought something different. Like you could tell which ones were the old Hanna-Barbera ones. You could tell which ones Chuck Jones worked on. And then there's that little era of Tom and Jerry where the shorts weren't really all that good. I forgot the director's name, but
Gene Deitch.
yeah. Well, that explains. Well, I'll say this: I think there was a different animation quality at the very end of the Looney Tunes Christmas special because I think Bugs looked way different. Not like design wise, but his animation felt more fluid. And I don't know if that's because he was on a quote unquote realistic background, but I mean, what did you like? Did you notice that, or am I just?
I noticed like um, a slightly different character model at the end of that short. Um,
I mean, it didn't bug me like or anything like it's like, oh, this ruined the whole thing. No, it didn't. It's not that. It's just, huh? He looks different. He moves differently. There's like a different flow to his weight.
it's not a criticism. It's merely an observation.
Yeah. It's just an observation. And yeah, no. Overall, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's like a Christmas special I'll go back to a lot, but I love these designs. I especially love the Santa design and his movements, especially when they finally get a video game console made and it just blows up in his face.
I also love how like as they're trying to make the video game console, it turns into basically a Dalek.
Yeah, it turns into a killer robot. And yeah, that was good. I had a good time with this one. It's full of laughs and it's only like 30 minutes. So there's not a whole lot of time wasted there.
Yeah,
So
I think if you're a Looney Tunes fan, give it at least a once over.
yeah, and I could see people just coming back to it every Christmas, like say like, okay, we'll watch this, and that, and then we'll sprinkle like the Looney Tunes Christmas special in between. Some of the like the stuff that everyone watches, like White Christmas or Miracle on 34th and what have you. But yeah, no, definitely give it a watch.
All right,
So
next we have the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special,
and
and
to be clear, we aren't trying to avoid talking about Star Wars. I know part of the fan base absolutely is just dreadful to deal with, but we're not avoiding it because of that. There just wasn't anything new to talk about, and it would just take a long time for us to do like a Clone Wars retrospective or talk about Rebels or that racing one that came out that Polygon Pictures worked on.
Resistance.
Yeah, Resistance. So it's not like we don't want to talk about Star Wars.
We will eventually,
Yeah,
but
we
for
will.
now, for now, we will have to settle with this.
Well, yeah, a new holiday special, something that's I don't think Star Wars has done ever since the notorious Christmas special that George Lucas is apparently so ashamed of. He wants basically every copy to be destroyed of like that film, even though now it's bootlegged onto the internet. So, or at least I haven't heard of an official release yet of it.
Oh no, I like not only do I not think it'll ever get an official release, I don't want there to be because it'll lose the sort of like lost footage kind of charm to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, though I do hope that I don't know. I want the animated sequence of that old special to somehow survive because I just love looking at that one. But yeah, I'm sure if you're on the internet, you can find the holiday special that was lost in time for easily. So, but yeah, we're going to talk about the newest holiday special, which takes place, I think, after Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
Okay, I was making sure because I was like, is this after or something? Then, because it can't be. Well, luckily, it's not canon because there'd have to be a lot to deal with, especially with
I don't
what
think
happens.
any of the Lego Star Wars stuff is canon.
No, I don't think it should be either. It's an entirely different tone and audience because it's obviously going for this one's going for a much younger audience, which is pretty okay for me. Even though some of the writing I think is aimed more at the older fans, not like
They know exactly what they're doing with with some of the dialogue.
Yeah. So, how about you explain the plot of this one?
Um, okay, to the best of my ability, um, in this special, which is set after episode 9, Rey begins to doubt her ability as a teacher to Finn. So she travels to an old Jedi temple to find a time key, which allows her to travel to different moments in time throughout the Star Wars film series and briefly The Mandalorian. She loses the key to Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, who plan to use it to change time. Meanwhile, Finn, Rose, and Poe get ready for their Life Day party where chaos ensues. Um, so if you're a Star Wars Rebels fan, then you're probably already kind of familiar with their version of time travel, which I guess they explain as like world between worlds. But
Yeah.
um, for the general audience, this is kind of the first time we've seen time travel used and abused to basically run amok in the Star Wars universe.
I have to say, the dialogue in some scenes is super sassy, especially like when Ray goes back in time to when Luke was training with Yoda, and and then you get the iconic, somewhat wise line of like, "Do or do not. There is no try." And Luke questions back like, "Well, isn't trying like a good thing?" And then Yoda's basically like, there's no room for participation trophies." And it's like, wow. There's some venom in some of these characters. And if you're curious, no, this is not done in like the Lego theatrical movie style. It's basically the straight to video CGI style. And yes, you lose the charm of how the theatrical films handle it, but I don't know. I thought for like a 45-minute special, it looked good for what it is. I mean, these specials aren't made with high quality in mind. I mean, granted, you get something like the Richard Williams Christmas and Chuck Jones Christmas Carol, which, oh my gosh, you watch that thing, it looks amazing. But I think all things considered, for like something that looks like the cutscenes from a Lego game, I'm down for it. I'm down for the visual look.
Yeah,
And
I think the visuals are fine.
yeah, like I'm not saying they're amazing. I'm just saying like they're fun. They get the job done. Though I do like some of the animated bits, like when Poe is training and he's like, I just can't focus. The what are those?
The Porgs.
Yeah, the Porgs. The Porgs are watching me, and then you see one of the Porgs like, yeah, I got my eye on you. And I thought some of the comedy was very snappy and like quirky. It reminded me of like a Looney Tunes take on Star Wars, or like when the Animaniacs took advantage of it. And
We need to talk about one of the greatest and most subtle visual gags. It's anytime you see the Death Star 2, you
yes,
see like little pieces drop.
it's probably my favorite joke because at first I was like, huh, was that something? Oh, okay. Nothing. And then they cut to it again, and then another piece falls off, and I was like, oh, I knew it.
Also,
Or like,
the fact that they keep making fun of um, the fact that it's called Death Star 2. Like when Vader's like, why can't we come up with like a better name like Star Killer Base? And Palpatine's like, no, that's ridiculous. But then Kylo Ren is like, I have an idea for like I'm your biggest fan. Your Death Star inspired the Star Killer Base, and, and Palpatine's like, that's a great name.
I know. And I do kind of love, I think this is my favorite gag of the whole Kylo Ren uh, with the giant torso gag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that's the whole meme from The Last Jedi where everybody was like, man, he is swole. And the guy who's played by what's his name? He's in Ex Machina. He's the main guy in Peter Rabbit.
Donald Gleason.
Yeah, him. Like his character is like trying to say like the rebels are in the abs. I mean, airspace, and he's just like, I'll just come back later. And everybody's bothered when Kylo doesn't have a shirt on. They're like, please just put a shirt on. Or like when they Rey ends up in episode 1, and like when Qui-Gon and young Obi-Wan are about to get gassed by the Trade Federation, and Obi-Wan's just like, I'm bored. Nobody cares about trade disputes. Which, listen, I know there's some new love going into the prequels, but that's a huge issue that like you start off your space action movie with space wizards with a political trade dispute.
Fortunately, Star Wars politics have gotten better since then, but only when written by people not named George Lucas.
I'm sorry, but like I know people want George Lucas to come back and such, but sometimes you have to save a project from the creator. I'm just saying, But yeah, I thought like overall, like for like the story, I thought the A plot with Rey was more interesting, even if the whole moral is just like, you have brought something great to Poe. Friendship and trust and family and Christmas, well, the holiday spirit. But I think the B plot is where I think it kind of falters. I don't think they went as far as they should have with the jokes with Poe, Rose, and Oscar Isaac's character. Like I don't know. I didn't find their jokes the best out of that story. I mean, but what did you think?
I thought they were okay. I think if this was like an hour long instead of just like 40,
like 45 minutes. Yeah,
like we could have devoted a little bit more time to like the party, but I gotta say, it's really sad that Rose Tico, played by Kelly Marie Tran, gets more dialogue in this special than she did in Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, this movie
I know everyone's kind of beating that dead horse, but
this movie is passive aggressively jabbing at Rise of Skywalker, especially when Kylo encounters the Emperor and Darth Vader at first. It's like, you weren't supposed to survive that, because you can't survive that. He looks at the camera, like pointing out how stupid that twist is. And yes, it's no, Rise of Skywalker wasn't my worst movie of last year, but golly, was that twist dumb. And I love the bit where it's just like, so Kylo, you won't betray me. You don't betray your master, right? And it cuts to him when he kills Snoke, yeah, in The Last Jedi, and he's like, yeah, sure, I won't. And I like how pitiful Darth Vader is, because he's just trying to impress the Emperor, and he just gets pushed aside for Kylo. And I think that was probably some of my favorite. Or I love the sequence where the Darth Vader ends up with Rey in the Empire Strikes Back in the Hoth sequence.
Oh yeah.
And then when it turns out to be like there's two Darth Vaders, and then the troopers are like, so what's the protocol for this? Like I think there were some really funny jokes in this. I constantly laughed. I think a lot, like I think the humor works for both kids and adults, because I think it hits that like sweet spot of like anyone can get it.
Yeah, I agree. Can we talk about the voice cast? And I mentioned earlier that Kelly Marie Tran is like the only character of like the new cast to reprise her role.
Yeah.
The only other people who are coming back from live action are Billy D. Williams and Anthony Daniels playing Lando and C-3PO. The rest,
not even for that long.
the rest of the cast though is like incredibly stacked. You have D. Bradley Baker voicing the clone troopers,
Of
Eric
course.
Bauza playing Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
Ray Griffin as Maz Kanata, and Tom Kane does a spot-on Frank Oz impression voicing Yoda.
Pretty much. I had to kind of listen carefully to see if that was Frank Oz or not.
I could have sworn it was like when I first heard it, but then I kept listening. I'm like, no, that like Tom Kane's voice is too distinct for that not to be him. Oh,
Yeah.
and
No, that
also
was a
James Arnold Taylor comes back as Obi-Wan.
oh gosh, he's great. I love his performances as Obi-Wan and how like when he and Anakin are in the elevator and it's like you gotta stop being distracted by Padme. And Anakin's like, I am not, and he's holding like this giant bouquet of flowers. Or it's like, and I said this before the podcast, I love the two clone troopers who are just like apparently like waiting for like people to speed past them. And I love the little banter there, and of course it's D. Bradley Baker talking to himself.
which is always fun to listen to.
Oh yeah, and I just love it. I love the realization. It's like, man, we had the same thought. It's like we're the same person. And yeah, no, it's I don't know. Like, do you have like any issues with the special, or like do you wish they expanded on some things, or?
I mean, if I'm honest, any issues I would have don't really matter because at the end of the day, like this is basically the equivalent of children getting together and playing with their Legos.
Yeah, it's super harmless. I don't know what the reception to this special is going to be, but I feel like if you're going to be super critical on it, you're going in with the wrong mindset. And I know there's always that thing. It's like there's no one way to talk about a movie. I think if you're going at this just to despise it, you're going at it wrong. It's like it's not made for hardcore Star Wars fans, even though they'll make references and jokes on top of it, like the recent, like when the original Star Wars trilogy got put on Disney Plus, they did another change where Greedo says McClunky.
Oh, yep, and they bring it up here.
Yeah, they bring it up there, and it's fun. It does what it does, and that's all it needs to do and whatnot. So
you know what? I'll say this: this is meant for Star Wars fans with a fucking sense of humor.
Gosh, seriously, Star Wars fans, grow a spine and I don't know, grow a funny bone if you need to. Have a sense of humor of how goofy Star Wars as a whole is. Like, seriously, chill out. Let people enjoy their Star Wars. Let kids enjoy the Star Wars. It's not made for you. It's made for everyone involved. I remember watching this video. I think one of the Game Grumps playthroughs, and they talked about how they were at Galaxy's Edge and they saw I guess the dad of a kid was saying like, well, actually, to his own son. It's just like dude, stop doing that. Like,
yeah, that's no, don't do that.
Don't do that to little kids. If they want to say like, hey, look, there's a stormtrooper, be like, yeah, cool, isn't it? Or if they want to be Kylo Ren, or they goof up by calling an X-wing a Y-wing or whatever, just who cares? Like, don't care about this at that level. What's that Animaniacs gag you told me the other time? Where
Oh,
it's just
the
like,
please get a life foundation.
yes. Like, if you're going to be that just pedantic about it all, please get a life. But yeah, no, I recommend it. I recommend this special.
Yeah.
That good. It was good to get that out of the way.
On to a Boy, this next film that we're talking about is it's a doozy.
Yeah, would you like me to lead this one? Because I have a little history with this film.
Uh,
Um,
Go for it. This is Children of the Sea from Studio 4C, directed by Ayumu Watanabe.
so Studio 4C, as everyone knows, is a anime studio. Duh. But they put out films like Tenkaken Crete. They made those trilogy Berserk films. They worked on Memories. They worked on Spriggan. They worked on Masaki Yuasa's first film, Mind Game. They did. They worked on Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, Bird Boy, The Forgotten Children, MFKZ, which we'll have to talk about sometime. That's a great movie to talk about.
I really want to see that one next.
Yeah, and they also worked on like the Thundercats 2011 series, and like they're a prolific studio, and they also worked on like the Batman Arkham Knight sequences and the Animatrix. So they're known for having like an eclectic style and a lot of unique animation under their belt. And some of them, unfortunately, call them a tech demo studio because they seem to focus on style over substance, which is partially unfair. I think there's a lot going on with their films, but I think they're not a traditional anime studio. Let's say that they don't have traditional stories or characters or like a style, because anime can be so like, how does it say, similar to one another, because and like designs are shared, like not shared but look similar to one another. It's
It seems
basically,
like this Studio 4C is like borderline like avant-garde studio.
yeah, they get to like make stuff that isn't. It's kind of like how Mamoru Hosoda tackles his films, where it's like, I want to make something that's animated but that's not anime, or that's defined as anime, which some people apparently took as an attack on anime, when it's just like, no, that's a good thing. He wants to make his own vision, and that's what I get from the studio. So this film, Children of the Sea, is based off of the manga um, by Daisuke Igarashi. And it's a critically acclaimed manga, and it's known for its very distinct art style. So of course, Studio 4C tackled this. And this film popped up in the Contrachamp section at Annecy 2019, and it lost to a one person made film called Away, which I disagree with it losing to that movie. I think Children of the Sea, like, if you're going to put it in a category where it challenges animation, this is a film that challenges animation, and we'll get to that. And then last year it showed up at the Animation is Film Festival 2019 edition. It was one of the films played on the second day, and there was a Q&A with the director and the CGI animation director, which that was a lot of fun to go to, even though the host of the Q&A took all the best not jokes, questions. So let's get started with the plot. After a falling out with both her mother and other members of her school club, our lead, Ruka Azumi, is just having a bit of a tough time. She's not really getting along with her parents, and like we just said, she's having trouble at school. One day, she goes to the aquarium that her father works in and encounters a weird young boy named Umi, who's dubbed in this film by Lyndon Prosser, who apparently, along with Sora, another blonde boy, were raised by dugongs, and the aquarium keeps them there to keep them healthy and to observe their aquatic abilities. As that is going on, there is a huge gathering of sea life coming to one spot in the world. It's like the origin of the world, of life, of the universe. and somehow Ruka, Umi, Sora, and are all connected in some way to this event that has oceanographers, marine biologists, like just curious about what happens or what is going on with this. So yeah, I got to see this on a huge screen last year, and even though we just went on our tangent during the HBO Max sequence of like, not every film deserves to be deserves to be seen on a theater screen.
This one does.
Oh, this one does. So I've seen this film a couple times. Mike, what are your like? What do you want to start with this movie? Since this was your first time seeing it.
Well, let's start with the animation because I think that's the thing that I love the most about it. It's now, just to be clear, I haven't read the manga, but just taken it on its own merits, the style is it's something that I don't think I've ever seen before, or at least not this seamless of combining 2D and 3D animation specifically for a film as like as deep in the water.
Yeah,
Because that's kind of my thing with animation. Like great filmmakers know how to work with water.
they really do. This film is gorgeous. Its visual style is wholly distinct, and I know the term sakuga gets thrown around for certain sequences in anime. You know, like where all the money and talent is put into.
Mm-hmm.
I fail to find a time where there's no sakuga happening, because this is a pretty movie. Like probably the most visually stunning movie of the past decade.
And apparently the budget is only like um okay, well I don't see a budget. I just saw the box office. It made 2.8 million worldwide.
Yeah, this is a like whatever budget this thing had, it's very impressive because it's very seamless with its transition with using CGI and 2D animation, and everything flows smooth. Like it doesn't have like the distinction of anime where they try to make it look as good with as few frames as possible. They say like, what can we cut? What can we still get away with as low as a budget like of a frame rate as we can get? Like, can we hold the pose this long? Well, what about how about this long? No, I don't think there's a moment where there's not like an American approach to animation where there's more in between frames and like breathing, blinking, no dead eye syndrome, no just like standing there for the sake of saving money. You know, it's like this isn't the Dragon Ball treatment.
Yeah, no, this is probably like the smoothest animation that I've seen from Japan in a while.
It's impressive. It rivals Studio Ghibli.
Oh yeah,
And I like it's up there with some of the best from like Musaki Yuasa, Mamoru Hosoda, Shinkai, and like it's amazing. It's just like it's pure visual like candy. Just like the assumption of Sakuga is basically like only one scene is going to have like high tier animation where all the focus is going to be put on, and it's mostly used for action. That's not entirely true. I looked through like the Sakuga Boru database, and like Sakuga is more than just smooth and fast-paced action. It's how you wait. It's how the movements are handled. It's how the weight and the physics of the characters interacting with everything. Something as simple as like one of the oceanographers, the guy with the long hair, putting down a pair of shoes on the sand is like handled with intricate detail. Like they paid attention to how like the shoes would hit the ground and like would how much bounce to the shoes there would be, and or like how flowing the hair would be, the light reflecting off the eyes, or the different colors of the sunset or the sky mixing with the different blues and blacks and and browns of the world around you, so around the film. So it's a super good looking movie.
Hmm.
Now, what, like, this is where I think some people, especially at my screening at the Animations Film Festival, kind of fell off. What did you take away a lot from the story?
Um, I took, well, there is a lot of it's a very heady uh story,
Mm-hmm.
and if um and I guess like one of my biggest obstacles was Ruka. I I didn't think I didn't think she came off very likable, but and I feel bad because like in the story she really does have, like, she really did draw like the short straw.
Yeah. Now, this movie's story is very philosophical. It's basically our connection with humans, with the light, with the ocean, and with the universe. It's it's definitely a lot more heady and intentionally heady instead of like a supervillain in an action anime being like, well, the humans suck, the world sucks, so I'm going to rebuild it.
No,
No,
at least this is a little bit more um optimistic in some way.
yeah, no, it's not meant to be um well, I didn't find this film pretentious. I know some people might kind of like roll their eyes a little at how much the dialogue is very much like questions about like philosophical quandaries, and but I still feel like they still give enough character to everyone that they're not just dialogue machines, if that makes sense. Like they're not just there to spew exposition um or just to talk, just to move the story along. Because I
No,
can understand. Yeah, go ahead.
um if anything, the two characters that feel the most alive are the the children of the sea themselves, like Umi and Sora.
Yeah, yeah. One's a little more cold because of just the experiments that were done on him, and the other one's more optimistic and bubbly until whatever is going to happen with the story. Um, like where he gets a little more out there, I guess, like a little more animalistic. Like instead of going off of like logic, he goes off of instinct.
Yeah,
But
basically he starts behaving like one of those dolphins.
yeah, and I understand Ruka being kind of insufferable at first because it's like, but I kind of understand it too. She's not in a good mindset at the beginning, and she's just trying to find out where she belongs in the world, in this world. And you know, when you're a teenager and you start thinking about more complex and complicated things, it's hard to translate that and to translate those thoughts. And she just wants to know what's going to happen. Like, where is she? How does she connect to the bigger scheme in the world? And I mean, that's why I love this movie. I just love that it feels philosophical without looking down at the audience.
Oh
And
yeah, no, it's one of those movies that doesn't try to like hold your hand. It basically just kind of like, if the movie was a giant aquarium pool, you're just like dropped in the pool with with no lifeboat, no no lifeguard, just good luck.
yeah, no, I wanted to talk about this too about the animation with the use of the CGI. Like we both said, the CGI is actually used really well, and I remember it was kind of a challenge with certain animals, like the whale, especially the humpback whales. I think from what the CGI animator or the head of the CGI animation talked about, and it was also hard to do like the stingrays and what have you. And yeah, you could sometimes tell where CGI is used, like when she's running to the aquarium, and like there's that panning shot as it follows her running, like to that bridge. Um,
That's when I'd say like the CGI felt the most apparent in the first half, but
but I'll say this: I think people who are so hell bent on being like it should all be 100% 2D, nothing CGI. CGI is bad, and it's just like, boy, howdy! I think some of the people who worked on stuff like even like the Lion King wished that they had CGI tech, or they wished 2D could do some of the things. Like I remember this one video talking about the con of like the pros and cons of CGI animation. They talked about the scene where in the Lion King where Mufasa is talking to Simba, and you know how the camera slowly pans around them,
yeah.
and they were saying like that's a great sequence, but that must have been a pain in the back to animate, and it feels sluggish because they're having to slowly make sure that nothing goes off model. They can't just let the characters talk. Like there are, and I made this tweet that's actually blowing up right now on Twitter. There are things that 2D can do that CGI can't, but there are things that CGI can do that 2D can't. It shouldn't be this battle of 2D versus CGI.
Right.
And
And I think this movie proves that um you it's not about what you use, it's how you use it. And I think what I like about how this film uses both is that it like this kind of reminds me of the animated equivalent of Mad Max Fury Rose or Fury Road, where
mhm.
people praise that movie for its use of practical effects without knowing that most of like the post production involved a lot of CG, a lot of color correction, um, a lot of digital touch ups to make it look as good as it does. So in
Yeah,
this so in this movie, um, it's kind of the same thing. Like um, it's one of the best like traditionally animated movies ever, but it also has a big assist from computer
CGI.
animation.
Yeah. Now, I understand that you may have had a little issue with the third act, wherein it decides to go all 2001. Or I guess that's what I got from your review or your
Um,
quick thoughts, because that
uh,
seems to be a breaking point for some people also.
no, if anything, um, the third act is the stuff that I was kind of the most blown away by.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry, I might have misread then.
I know that's fine. It is a lot, and I think I need to go back and rewatch this movie a couple more times before I can truly say that this is a masterpiece. But um,
It's a lot because it is like Umi becomes one with the universe, and yeah, it's very 2001. I won't lie and say that I got it right off the bat. I had to think about this. And this was during a time when I first saw that animation is film where I couldn't really afford to. So, like, when I was waiting for my question to be answered, which was a very simple question, where that was just like, what was it like when G Kids offered to bring your movie over to the States? And it was cute. They were like, oh my gosh, like, that's great. But oh man, we weren't thinking about it. Like I think they were just saying this will be just Japan only, and Japan will only get it. But then they're like, "Oh man, a U.S. audience wants to see this." Okay, um, I had to think about it a little, and then I watched it a few months back when I got it on Blu-ray, and I watched it with my family, and it. I think the ending works on a more emotional sensibility level because like you can get and understand what's going on. If you just don't, I don't want to say think about it too hard because this movie's smart. It's a smart movie, but it's a lot. It's a visual overload at points. But then again, I'd rather have that than nothing.
That's true. Um,
Now, well, I will say about this the music, which is also one of the best parts of the movie.
oh my god, the score. Um, I don't usually. I mean, like music in anime is something that I praise a lot, but mostly it's either the OP or the ending. Um,
Yeah.
I don't really get to talk enough about this like the actual score, and this movie and Ride Your Wave have like incredible background music.
Well, that should be no shock with Children of the Sea, since Joe Hisaishi, who usually does the music for Ghibli movies,
Okay, that
like
makes sense.
yeah, you can really tell with the flute and the piano and just like like he has a unique and distinct rhythm to how he handles music. And I won't lie, when I finally found out the name of the ending theme to Children of the Sea, I downloaded that song instantly. I listened to that song a lot because I just love the grandiose feel of it. It's called Spirit of the Sea, and I just love that song that plays when the credits are rolling. And but yeah, Joe Hisashi just brings this otherworldly, universal feel to Children of the Sea. And even though it has its lightweight moments, he still knows how to do that. And it just shows why Joe Hisashi is so good at his job. He's basically the Hans Zimmer, John Williams of movie composition music.
Yeah,
And
and I think starting today, we should make more of an effort to, you know, give this guy the credit he deserves.
yes, definitely. And maybe we'll start talking more about the Ghibli films. Like we'll do like a little tiny subset of podcasts just to talk about the Ghibli films. So, because you haven't seen all of them, right?
I haven't, and I feel bad because I announced months ago that I was going to do a Ghibli journey, but that's been put on the back burner only because our schedule is gonzo.
Yeah, it is. We'll definitely have to make some time to do it. Maybe for 2021, we'll do like a little like pocket of Ghibli or something where we just do a small podcast for every film that Miyazaki and his teams worked on.
Yeah, or at the very least, I'll save my Ghibli thoughts for recommendations.
Yeah. We'll just see where that goes.
Um,
But
but go,
yeah,
but going back to Children of the Sea,
yeah.
I think this is a great first impression for me for the director Ayumu Watanabe, who, funny enough, got their start with the Doraemon movies.
Oh yeah, that it's always interesting because like Keiichi Hara, who did Miss Hokusai and the Wonderland, got his start on the Shin-Chan movies. And it's like how Miyazaki got his start on the Lupin the Third film franchise. So
It's
yeah,
it's always fascinating to see where Japanese directors catch their first break.
yeah, no, it's this is what I love about the behind the scenes stuff. I love looking up everything. It's not just there's a movie, here's the director whatever. Hope the movie's good. No, I love looking at these movies and then looking at their filmography or what they worked on and being like, okay, that makes sense. I can see where he worked on this to work on his more original stuff. So yeah, I love this movie. I count it as a 2019 film, but only because G Kids submitted it last year to the Oscars, which unfortunately G Kids got pushed out for because of I Lost My Body and Klaus. Because otherwise, I think Children of the Sea would have been a real contender, along with like Funan and Bunwell.
I personally count it as a 2020 release only because that's when the general North American audience got to see it.
Right. And I don't blame you for doing that, because it is tough, because I kind of go by what it gets submitted to the Oscars, but sometimes I do make an exception, like The Boy and the Beast by Mamoru Hosoda wasn't technically a 2015 submission, but it came out in 2016, and it's just kind of like, I feel more comfortable putting it in 2016.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and then sometimes I'll be the weirdo and be like, this movie came out in 1992, but we finally got it in the US, so I'm going to count it.
Wait, are you talking about Only Yesterday?
Yes. Some people are and Belladonna of Sadness, because people are like, why did you put these two on there? Because it's like, because we didn't get them until that year. Like, but anyway, overall, Children of the Sea is one of my favorite experiences with anime and animation. I just adore this movie, and I just love it to death. And it's available now on Blu-ray and DVD and digital. And for US viewers, it's currently, as we record this, on Netflix.
Yep. I will never not be jealous that you got to see this on the big screen.
Oh boy, especially when you see that third act
Yep.
unfold. It's like, whoa. And I think that's when everybody kind of dropped off. It's just like, wow, that was amazing. I don't think I understood it, but wow. And nothing against them. I understand this won't be everyone's cup of tea, but give it a watch. I mean, I don't think kids will enjoy this. This one's more like young adults or older teens. But though, of course, you know that we always get those situations like 8th grade being rated R for some reason, even though it's like, no, it's not the right age, the right viewership.
The MPAA is weird, and I'll never understand their logic.
Me neither. But anyway, go watch Children of the Sea. Give G Kids and Studio 4C the support they deserve.
All right. Mind if I take this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is my number one of the year. And again, this is another like kind of borderline example where Ride Your Wave was released in Japan in 2019, but North America didn't really get its official viewing until 2020.
Yeah, and it wasn't submitted last year to the Oscars, so it's going to be submitted this year from what I can tell. So I count it as a 2020 movie as well.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
So Ride Your Wave is the latest feature from Science Saru, and we talked about them a few months ago when we reviewed Japan Sinks. And that was also directed by Masaki Yuasa. And this is an original story written by Reiko Yoshida, who apparently got their start working on Dragon Ball Z. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, Dragon Ball Z, Virtua Fighter, Digimon Adventure.
Yeah, she has a lot of shonen credits, which is fascinating.
Yeah, Roni Kenshin here and there. The Cat. She wrote The Cat Returns. I love that movie. And the Get Backers. That's an interesting little thing. Scrapped Princess, School Rumble. She's worked in everything. So
what's the story with Ride Your Wave? Well, we follow Hinako Mukaimuzu, a surf-loving college student who just moved to this small seaside town. When a sudden fire breaks out in her apartment building, she's rescued by Minato Hinagashi, a handsome firefighter, and the two soon fall in love, just as they become inseparable Minato loses his life in an accident at sea. Hinako is so distraught that she can no longer even look at the ocean. But one day she sings a song that reminds her of their time together, and Minato appears in the water. From then on, she can summon him in any watery surface as soon as she sings her song. But can the two really remain together forever? And what is the real reason for Minato's sudden reappearance? Um, okay, if any of that sounds weird to you, don't worry. It's Japan. Everything is weird.
Well, it's also Science Saru and Yuasa. There's always going to be a quirky twist to it all. Like
I
Lou Over the Wall has vampire uh, mermaids. Though the distinction there was that they were originally vampires, but they turned them into mermaids, and then they just kept some of the vampire aesthetics for the mermaids. So, yeah, this is not shocking that there's a bit of a weird angle to this movie.
although I guess compared to like Mind Game, this is at best magical realism.
Oh, this is the most approachable Yuasa film next to Lou Over the Wall. Mind Game is probably the hardest film to get into. And I know this because I've watched that movie multiple times, and I'm still not entirely sure if I truly, utterly love it or just think it's like admirable, but not fully great. But I'm still diving into that movie. Oh, no matter how many times I watch it. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I think this is his most controlled, but for 2020, this is just this movie is why animation exists. It's to tell stories that you can't. Well, you can, but it's better when told in animation. And I kind of joked about this on Twitter when I shared my Children of the Sea review, but we accidentally themed this episode with aquatic anime.
Yeah,
I swear that was not on purpose, but
no, it's not.
But it just gives me more of an opportunity to say filmmakers who know how to use water are the best filmmakers ever.
Yeah, no, this is a gorgeous movie, and it definitely has that energetic animation that Science Saru and Yuasa are known for. But it's definitely dialed back, but it feels more like you said, grounded. Like it's not as crazy and goofy as Lou Over the Wall, but it's not too grounded to be boring and dull. But yeah, what was your favorite part about Ride Your Wave?
Honestly, it's like the first I guess like the first like third of the film where you actually get to develop the romance between Minato and Hinako. And I also love when they're singing their song. What's the title of the song?
I think it's called "There You Are." But
Yeah.
or no. Well, keep talking and I'll look it up. But yeah, the song that they've bonded over.
It's called a Brand New Story.
Oh yeah, Brand New Story.
But what I love about it, what I love about the song and its placement in the montage, like as they're singing, there's just something very pure and jovial about like the way they're singing, because you can hear all like the laughing and the
corniness.
Yeah, like I almost want to say that like a lot of that delivery was improvised, because it seems like the two actors, Joey Richter and Merritt Layton,
yeah,
it feels like they were in the same room when they recorded that dialogue. and they were just kind of like laughing, having a good time together. Um, but it really fits the the montage, which almost kind of remind me of you know how everyone talks about the first 10 minutes of Up,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
how everyone says like that could have been a short story in and of itself.
yeah.
Yeah, I got major Up vibes from the first act.
Yeah, the I agree with you. I think the best part of this romance movie is the fact that they actually flesh them out. This is why I like Makoto Shinkai's Weathering with You more than Your Name, because it's they I mean, we'll talk about Weathering with You another time, but my point is like that movie and Ride Your Wave actually like developed the romance. They developed the relationship. And for some reason, that always seems like a hard thing to do for a lot of romance movies, even like live action ones, like where it's either super generic or it's like it's more about dealing with the loss of someone you love. But here, you actually get to bond with the two characters, and from what I remember, I saw this both subtitled and dub, and it's the same like in sub and dub with the montage where they're like laughing and just kind of having fun singing a song together. I think they may have been in the same room um, when they recorded the original Japanese tracks.
I was gonna say um, because of COVID, who knows if the English dub cast were in the same room together.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think this thing had a dub when it was had its Fathom events in February, but I'm not entirely sure. Or they could have been working on it and they just couldn't get it out in time. Because that happened when back in 2018 when Animation is Film showed Mirai. They were supposed to have the English dub ready, but something kept like screwing up. So they couldn't show the dub. So they just kept it with subtitles. Um and I think that may have happened here, but I'm not entirely sure.
Hmm.
But
Well,
but yeah, don't
anyway, I I love their romance. For um, out of all the Japanese films that we've seen, like I think this has um, like the best romance. Not just with Minato and Hinako, but Yoko and Wasabi um, are just at are just as like they're just as good at a romantic pair as the two leads.
yeah, the overall cast is really endearing and they're very fleshed out. They're not just like you're the guy friend, you're the girlfriend. Well, you know what I mean by girlfriend. The friend who's a girl.
Yeah.
um and they get their own little story arcs. And like Yoko becomes a little less venomous, which is funny because Minato nicknames her a blue ringed octopus. And if you know anything about that creature, it can kill you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's super. And then Wasabi gets more of just like a basically a spine. But he's not like super wimpy annoying. He's just kind of like the big theme with this movie, besides dealing with grief, it's just finding your place in the world, which both of these movies we're talking about happen to be a major that has to be a major theme. Um, and he's just wondering if he should be a firefighter, if he should not, and he's not as good as Minato. But then it's just they all grow, which is nice. They don't just get pushed aside. Um, and I think it is just like I think that's a very universal theme of just trying to find your place because I feel like everyone deals with that at one point or another.
Oh yeah. So another theme that I really like is they really explore how one person can affect like an entire group of people, or they explore the lasting effect that someone has another. Like, um, it like in the film they kind of treat it like a twist, but when they reveal that Hinako was the girl that saved Minato
Yeah.
when he almost drowned as a child,
Yeah.
that that revelation hit me like a ton of bricks, and it made so much sense too, because do you remember um in the beginning when Minato described to Wasabi, like they described the surfer girl who at that point wasn't named
What?
yet. um
Yeah, they just called her Surfer Girl, but then Minato calls her like she's my hero.
yeah, but
Yeah.
we don't get
Yeah,
to
we don't.
find out why until later.
No, it's like at first it's just like she's brave because she can go surfing, and it's like, well, that's kind of simple. But then, yeah, then it's expanded upon, and this is also the second film that we're talking about that has dugongs, and that wasn't intentional either because of the, I guess let's call it the water elephant in the room. That when Minato dies, and like we said, when Hinako sings, he is brought back. And for a lot of the movie, she brings him back inside this inflatable dugong. And at first, it's like, it looks a little sad. Well, I mean, everyone else is kind of like, what on earth is she doing with that giant thing? But it's just like, it's tough. She's like, oh my gosh, I get to be with you. But it's also not forever, though, which is, man, you know what? All of my favorite animated films of this year, Onward, Over the Moon, Ride Your Wave, they all have to deal with that, with the temporary joy of seeing a lost loved one.
Yeah,
I
that's
just,
it's weird that in this year of all things, um like the theme of grief and trying to move forward with your life, that's like that kind of became like the accidental theme of 2020.
yeah, it's weird. And maybe that's why I'm kind of frazzled right now. I'm just like, whoa, I didn't even notice that until now. And it's definitely interesting with how they handle how Minato comes back in the water form. And I saw a few people online saying like, oh, so this is just a Japanese shape of water.
um
Which is not entirely untrue, but
I mean, he does show up in the shape of a dugong.
yeah. No, it's just
By the way, like I know we're describing the more somber elements of the story, but it also can get really funny. Like
yeah, the
like
physical
when we first
comedy.
like when we first see Hinako's apartment, um when her mom calls her, I was kind like I was kind of reminded of all the scenes in Agretzko when
Yeah.
Retzko's mom would always be calling like, "Are you doing okay? Are you eating right?"
Oh yeah, and then and what's her name? Hinako is just trying to like make a super fancy omelet, but it doesn't look great. And then her mom calls her, and then she's trying to keep all the boxes from falling down. It actually reminds me of a clip. You'll have to watch this movie sometime. Wolf Children, when
Oh yeah,
one of the kids climbs up the shelf, and then the shelf falls over, and the mom is just trying to hold the whole thing up. And no, this movie's really funny, especially when you get to Minato's uh, super like boot camp of surfing.
mm-hmm.
I loved him being like, yeah, I'm gonna look good for my girlfriend. And then it's just like fail, fail, fail. And it's like I don't feel bad for him. I just like I'm laughing with him and the audience.
Yeah. It's endearing watching him fail at surfing when
Yeah.
um, when he basically exceeds at everything else.
Yeah, it makes him more human because I think a lot of anime love stories can sometimes fall into the the fantasy boyfriend or fantasy girlfriend trope. And it's more human if you give them a very relatable flaw. And at least that's how I look at it. And I love this. I love the little relationship that Yoko and Wasabi uh, bond with, and then they're just kind of like, yeah, well, we'll just have to see how they're relate. What happens with Hinako? And she's like, okay, yes, fine. Walks away, turns around, and yells at Wasabi. Yoko yells at Wasabi like, "I've been in love with you for days now," and then walks away. Wasabi's like, "What?" No, it's such an endearing movie, and for as somber as his film can get, it's I don't know, man. Masaki Iwasa knows how to balance this all out, and that's not always easy.
Would you say Yuasa is your favorite currently working um, Japanese director? I had to put in that asterisk because Miyazaki, Miyazaki like comes and goes when it.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean because he's like, I'm going to retire after the wind rises, and then he kicks down the doors. He's like, screw retirement. I'm going to make a CGI short. And then if you see the Never Ending Man, he's like, I think I'm ready to make one more movie. And
is that the one that's coming out in 2023?
Hopefully, yes. I think so. Yeah, no, yes, it is. And I would say Yuasa is up there. I think I like Mamoru Hosoda more, but you and I will have to watch his films and do like an episode about Hosoda.
Oh, we will.
But I think my two favorites are Hosoda and Yuasa, and it's a real shame because Yuasa's going to retire after his next movie comes out, and that's going to be or he's at least saying he's taking a break because after Lou Over the Wall and Night a Short Walk On Girl and Devilman Crybaby, he's been pumping out content for a while. So
oh yeah, and that's been like that was all in like 2 years, wasn't it?
Like 2 or 3 years, and it's like let the guy rest. And because we talked about this before, the anime industry does not have the best work reputation, so let him rest. And if when he comes back, we will all welcome him back and with open arms, or if he wants to come back. So who knows? Now I think you and I had the same criticism. Let's talk about the quote unquote antagonistic force of the film.
Yeah, like okay, so for those who either have or have not seen this, the inciting incident was brought on by this group of douchebags who are obsessed with creating YouTube videos and setting off fireworks. And don't do that. It's illegal. Stop it. And B, like Japanese architecture is frustrating. Like that. The apartment complex that Hinako lives in, I wouldn't feel safe. I wouldn't feel safe living under those conditions.
Yeah, that place was a fire hazard in waiting, and those punks just set it off and made it a thing. So, yeah, I will say that the one small downside to this movie is I don't think it has the best third act. Not that I think the third act is bad. I just think the igniting point, fireworks and igniting, is that those punks come back and they're just not interesting. They're just stupid, brainless meat bags, just trying to do the same thing again even though there's a giant tree inside the building that this third act happens in. And it's like, it's interesting. I don't think Yuasa has the most optimistic look at content creators for YouTube, or especially, or at least this kind or this type. Because we can't say he hates them all because of the great character from Japan Sinks, but it's definitely like interesting to see, like, and I've seen this in anime a lot, where YouTubers, or at least a certain type, are not looked highly upon.
No, certainly not.
No, I love the I love everything else about the ending. It just, I wish there was a stronger point to it, I guess, but then it's like I can't think of what else they could have done.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, because and the reason the the delinquents are not a deal breaker is because they're a means to an end. Like their first attack, I'm calling it an attack.
Yeah.
Their first attack established the romance between Hinako and Minato. And their second attack finally gave Hinako the closure when Minato came back and saved everyone in the building.
Yeah, and
So
well, first of all, that's a fun sequence when that the whole building gets flooded.
yeah,
And she basically has to surf in the sky, which is really cool, but I would be kind of horrified. But that's just me.
my question is how do we still get that ending, but without the delinquents?
I don't think you can unless just something else is set up, because it wouldn't look good if it's just like, oh, it's another fire. Okay, or something. I mean, I guess like if there was like, because there's that sequence with the car accident.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure that would help, but I don't know.
Yeah,
this is a problem that I find, that it's like, I want to say it's a problem, but I can't really say there's a solution to it with a lot of Japanese animated films, because I feel like this with like My Neighbor Totoro and a few others, where it's just like, I don't know what they could have done because it's like Ride Your Wave is kind of a film that likes to take its time, even if it's only 90 minutes. But then it's like, oh, we got to have a third act starter. We'll just do that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there is a way to make it without the delinquents or something as good or as set up as the delinquents.
Yeah, it's tough.
Maybe if they could have connected it to the firefighter training, maybe maybe some of the firefighters decided to train at that building and then the whole thing catches on fire.
Could be,
but I'm not entirely sure. They'd have to rewrite a few things about it. But I'm not sure. I don't think it's possible, but I'd have to think long and hard about it.
But guys, if you've noticed that we're kind of forcing criticisms upon this movie, that goes to show how much in the end we fucking loved it.
Oh gosh, it's my second favorite outside of Wolfwalkers. So, and I can understand why it's your favorite for right now until things chill out and whatnot. So, yeah, go watch this movie. It's available on Blu-ray and DVD and digital. I don't think it's on a streaming service as of yet, but that's the thing with G-Kids films. They kind of bounce around from Netflix and Amazon Prime from different points.
I bought the film on YouTube in HD, and it looks fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah, Science Saru is a good studio.
Oh yeah. Now, I didn't really prepare recommendations, so I'm just going to take you back to a few months ago when we talked about Japan Sinks, which is, it's a heavy show, but it's a Yuasa show, so that makes it mandatory.
Yeah, now that's still probably one of my favorite anime of the year. I have to kind of think about it because I've watched a lot of anime this year, especially for this podcast. My recommendations, I had a few different ideas of where to go with this, but I think I'm gonna go with recommending Makoto Shinkai's Weathering with You because I'm gonna post that for my 199th written review. I was going to review something else, but since it didn't come out on Netflix, or at least US Netflix, I decided I kind of struggled because I was going to review something else, and then I was told, "Hey, we're not going to release it now, so you're like we're going to release it next year." So it's like, ugh. So I had to find something. I decided to review Weathering with You, and I know a lot of people seem to like Your Name more, but I think Weathering with You is really just a better movie, and it's kind of the same reason why I love Ride Your Wave. The two main characters, the teenagers, spend a lot of time, like spend most of the time in the movie together. Their friendship, their love, their bond, and this is all like about a boy who travels to Japan and finds out that this girl called the Sunshine Girl can manipulate the weather to where she can make the sun come out. And this isn't like a setting where it has been constantly raining. And I just love this movie. I love the writing. I love the characters. I think it all works. I think this is Shinkai's best overall movie. But I know and unfortunately it didn't have the same success as Your Name, though it saying that it's like, oh no, this one milkshake I had was not as good as this other milkshake, but I still drank both milkshakes. It's that kind of thing. And G Kids also put this one out. It's actually one of the most successful indie films of 2020.
Oh, nice.
But you kind of have to put a caveat on that because of, everything. But hell, it probably would have been successful no matter what because people love Makoto Shinkai. So I recommend that movie, Weathering with You. And yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. I am watching some films at a festival called the Japanese Film Festival Plus. I'll probably post a little bit about it in Renegade Pop Culture and maybe make an editorial about it. We're not going to make it a focus for an episode because there's just nothing new for us to talk about, since most of the films are just from years ago and some are from last year and what have you. So yeah, go watch Weathering with You.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end this episode. This was fun. I enjoyed the variety that we had, and it wasn't as heavy a news week as our normal shows.
I'm happy about that, though I am a little sad that there wasn't much, but it's like, what else is there right now? Because I'm just kind of waiting for some of the stuff to happen, like the Oscar submissions, just so I can finalize my list. And it's just like we're going to be doing mostly catch-up stuff until like Soul comes out and when The Croods is finally available to watch.
Yeah, the rest of the year is basically that.
And I know we're going to talk about Cartoon Saloon next week, but or like the next time. So
yeah, our next episode is going to be the complete Cartoon Saloon retrospective,
which is going to be manageable since it's only 4 films.
Yep. And just in time for Wolfwalkers.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that film again.
All right, so before we head out of here, Cameron, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me at twitter.com at Cam's Eye View. I run a website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films called The Other Side of Animation. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/Cam's Eye View. And I also started up my Instagram again. And you can find me at like Instagram.com, I think like /Cam's Eye View, but just look for camseyeview.biz and you should be okay. And I'm also in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group, so yeah, you'll find me around, and I'll probably post a few things there. So yeah, my Instagram is instagram.com/camsiview.biz.
Awesome. And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Captain K482. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/Coach K482. Find me in all of the various Facebook groups just at my name. Check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. All our podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, wherever you listen. And last but not least, don't forget to check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this week's installment of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.